Hello, this is Rakesh Rao from DesignSense Software Technologies, Bangalore. In this GeoTools video, I am going to show you how you can assign properties like elevation to existing points and polyline vertices. In this example, you can see that we have a polyline, and at the vertex of each polyline we have a point as well as a text. Now if you list this polyline, you can see that its elevation is 0, and all these points here also have 0 elevation. Now we are going to acquire the elevation for these points and the polyline vertices from the neighboring text, and let us see how we do it in GeoTools. So in the GeoTools menu, if you come to conversion, we have this command called assign properties. You can run it on the command line also by typing gt_asn_prop. Now here you get several options. What type of property you want to assign? It could be an elevation or a thickness. Where do you want to inherit the property from? So we support two entities. It can either be a text or it can be a block. So in this case we have a text, so I'm going to choose text as the option here. If you're assigning elevations to polylines, then you can choose whether you want to do it for all the points or only for the first and last points. So that depends on your design criteria. So in this case I'm choosing all points. Now if you have 2D polylines in your selection, you can also determine whether you want to automatically convert them into 3D. Now this may often be required because when you want to assign elevations to each vertices of the polyline, obviously it has to be a 3D polyline, because you cannot have a 2D polyline with different elevations for the different vertices. But in reality you may have 2D polylines in your sample which you want to convert, so this option is provided for the convenience sake. Measure distances to nearest visible location and insertion point. You can leave it as nearest visible location as long as you specify your distances properly. There are two options which control how the transfer of elevation happens. Whether you want each text to be considered only once, or you're okay with each text being considered more than once. Now this is relevant when you have vertices which are very close to each other, in which case if you choose this option, then from each text the vertex will be taken only once. So once it is taken, the next vertex will not consider the same text. You can also have the option to delete the text once the processing is done. Search distance is important. Now in this case I think it's okay if I keep a distance of 10, and I'll say OK. Now in the selection you can see that it supports selecting both linear as well as point objects, so which means you have polylines, lines, and also points and inserts and so on. So in this case let us just select the polyline. I'm going to select these two polylines. Now if you see the labels here, this is a 2D polyline and this is a 3D polyline. So we will see how the command works on both of them. So it's done now. How do you know that it has done its work? So you just select the polyline and just list it. So if I list the polyline, you can see that it has elevations now. So it has converted into a 3D polyline. Similarly, this is converted into a 3D polyline as well. So I started with a 2D polyline and it got converted to 3D polyline by getting the elevations from the text which is next to the vertex. So if I just go and do an ID here, you can see that the elevation is 3.75, which has been taken from this text. So this is a very easy and convenient way for you to assign elevations to 2D polylines or points and convert them into 3D items or 3D geometry. This command is available on the ribbon also. So if you come here to the conversion menu and click this, you can see assign properties is available here as well. Now you have seen how we assigned the elevations to the polyline vertices. Now let us see how we do it for the points. So these are the points. The elevation is 0 in all these points, and there is a text right next to the point, and we want to now assign the elevations to these points. So we go back here to conversion, assign properties. So all these options I'm going to leave it as it is, because this is a common dialog box both for selecting points as well as the polylines. And in this case now I'm going to select all these points. So there is a filter set, it won't select the text, it will automatically select only the points. And you can see this is the filter. You have points, insert, line, and so on. So I'll say OK. So it's done it. So now, for example, if I'm going to select this and if I list it, so you can see that it has acquired the elevations. Now this is a very useful command for people in surveying, mapping, and so on, where they get data from their contractors or suppliers which has text available in freestanding text, but it is not available as a polyline, vertex elevation, or point elevation. So you can use this command to easily convert your 2D geometry to 3D geometry. So that is why we call this command as assign properties. So what it does is it assigns or inherits or gets the properties like elevation and thickness from neighboring text objects and populates them into your polylines or points. Thank you for watching this video, and do let me know if you have any questions.